fire button while you're squeezing these, because it's not a good thing. Now we've got this coil over here burning evenly from the inside out, and that's exactly what you want. Even glow from the inside out. Pulse and pinch this one, and once these coils are, pinched together, they basically stay glowing from the inside out. There we go. Perfect glowing from the inside out. And you don't want to hold these for too long. Like I said, you see how long these coils take to cool off. This is for, my preference. I prefer a very hot, very warm vape. Anyways, we've got those together now. I'm going to straighten this back up. Everything looks really good. And directly over those wicking holes. Now this is the tricky part, and this is what took me a long time to figure out, was how to actually get my wick in here to where it feeds up perfectly to the coil without getting a dry hit, because nobody likes a dry hit. The glass fluid chamber or juice well, whichever you prefer to call it, pop that back on there. Like I said, these coils stay hot, so you want to be careful with it, as always. And safety is another big thing. Just don't try putting some type of, basic battery like what you'd get with a variable voltage or something like that. I would not use anything other than the Sony VTC 3 through 5. And basically all that is, they're all 30 amp batteries. They're just a different milliamp hour battery life. So if you want to go with a very long working battery, you'd want to step it up to a VTC 5. Alright. Now, I've got organic cotton. If you go to CVS, the organic cotton comes in a green bag versus the red bag. I don't have it with me right now. But anyways, just a regular old cotton ball. What we're going to do is, the trick to perfect wicking in here is a very thin piece of wick. So I'd say it's about 3 inches, and you'll know if you have too much because it's going to be too thick. This is a pretty thick piece. What I'd use is about half of this, and whenever you start wicking, actually that might still be a little bit too much. When I say that it needs to be thin, it needs to be thin. So what we're going to do is we're going to take just the very tip of this cotton, and we're going to twist it up just like that. And the reason I put the glass back on there is because it keeps me from the habit of pulling the wick through, and that is what you don't want to do for this particular build. It's a little bit tricky getting it in there, but you want to get that tip just enough to where you can get it down through the center of the coil, through the wick hole on the Kraken. And then what you do is that piece of wire that you broke off earlier from the coil, just take it, and we're going to go inside the coil, inside the juice hole. We're going to push that into the tank. We want to get a good hook on the cotton, and I don't know if you can see that on the video, but we're going to push that in there just till it touches the bottom, and just kind of poke at it, get that cotton nice and loose. I don't know if you can see that in there or not, but the reason why you want it really loose inside of the tank is because it's not going to pick up juice. This thing works off gravity, so if you feel anything hung up inside of there, what you want to do is just take some and pull it out a little bit so you feel it loose. You want to make sure all the cotton is, actually I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. I'm going to take this piece of glass off. We'll do it a different way. You just want it really loose on the coil. Put a little bit of that cotton off there. Alright, let's do this again. We're going to go straight through. And you want this loose and fluffy. Pull it through. Keep that up. Rest it on your finger if you have to. Pull a little bit more through. And that looks good for my liking. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a little bit of this off of here. You don't want to really squeeze it tight, just kind of brush it and get those little loose ends off of there. Got a little bit of loose. We don't want that, just that aside. Twist the very tip of this piece. Just the tip, you don't want a lot twisted. Feed this down into here. It's a little bit too much, it's not wanting to work with me. Push this back down into the wick hole here. Some things just don't work as planned. You got to be patient. If you're going to get into rebuilding and stuff, you've got to have patience, because sometimes it just will not work out for you. Alright, I'm going to take my little screwdriver and I'm going to push this piece through here because it's not wanting to cooperate. Once that's through, pull that down lightly. Like I said, if that wire's in there too thick, or the cotton's in there, and it's hanging on the sides of these juice holes, it's you're not going to get the performance you want. Just brush that cotton out. You want it real loosely in there. I'm going to just take these little parts that I twisted. I'm going to give them a snip off of those little tips. Make sure this is in here nice and good. And now we'll go ahead and insert this piece of glass. And then fold that over to the side, because when the top's on there, you do not want to pull direct juice into your mouth. So, I'm going to grab my juice over here. I'm, of course, vaping My Easy Smokes e-liquid. Let me grab the bottle. I've got it refilled in this here little squeeze tank, and you have to have this to refill your tank on the Kraken, because like I said, it's gravity fed, so you're going to have an open hole here where you're going to put your juice in, but whenever you put a regular bottle over that to fill it, what it does is it forces juice through around the coils, and then you just have a flooded well, and that's no fun. But I'm vaping on Georgia line with a squirt of watermelon from the guys right here at myeasysmokes.com. Their juice is completely legitimate. I actually love this place. They'll make anything you want. If you want strawberry kiwi with a shot of rum, that's another one that I absolutely love from these guys. But this is the Georgia line with a little bit of watermelon, but like I said, I've got it inside of this bottle here to refill. Now this next part of the video does take a little bit of time, but this is what I call priming the wick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop some fluid on the top of this. Now you want to be careful, you don't want to actually brush the cotton. You want all that cotton to stay loose, or else it's not going to drain down into the tank. It's not going to do what you want it to do. Get some right here on the coils. You might make a little bit of a mess with this part, but you know, it's alright. It's A-OK. And what this is going to eventually do is it's going to absorb inside of this cotton, and the gravity is going to pull it down on these wicks here. I usually let it prime. I let it soak all the way through, you know, pick up everywhere until my wicks inside of the tank are completely saturated. I'm not going to make y'all wait all that time for this, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this needle in here. You want to make sure that the needle is down in the tank. I don't know if you can see it in there or not. And then fill her up. You want to go slow with it because the air has to get out somehow. And the only way for that air to get out is through the side of this hole. So, squeeze some air out of the bottle. Soak that juice back up in there. And you can see the wicks are starting to load up already, and that's what I like to see. So we're going to hold this down here. We're going to keep the juice going. Sometimes this thing can be a pain in the arse. That's just on the first fill up. I'll wipe this off real fast and take y'all film. Once that's filled, just let it sit for a little bit. You know, 5 or 10 minutes, let it soak up the juice. Let everything get in there nice and good.